What's up, everyone? So this is a big video right here. This is my top 10 favorite movies of all time, not top 10 best movies, because you'll see very soon of the difference. That's for sure. I mean, we all got favorites and we all got respect for movies that are absolutely great, 10 out of 10s, if not beyond that. So I was actually I kept going back and forth, like, do I do my top 10 or why not do a top 100? So I think I will do my top 100 later on of my favorite. Let's keep that in mind, people, because once I give you my top 10, you're gonna judge me, especially all you critically acclaimed movie lovers out there, because ain't much critically acclaimed on this top 10 list. I'm just gonna be honest with you. These are, I guess, movies from my childhood. It's my favorite movies that I really had to think a long time about, that like, what movies bring me the most joy, where I could put it on in the background or I could watch whenever, any time of the year, and it just brings back so many memories. I think they're great movies. And what you'll notice from my top 10 is that let me see, I have like more than half of these movies, or about half of these movies, are literally, it's basic, I gotta say it though, but they're movies that kicked off a major franchise. So think about all the many great franchises that are out there. Half of these movies kicked it off. So therefore, in my opinion, I mean, what you want from me? In my opinion, those are great movies. Why? Because if that first movie wasn't so great, how the hell could it have became a successful franchise, right? But that's where the debates and the arguments go hand in hand. So I'm not going to go too much into these movies since they're so popular. I can explain a little bit why they're so meaningful to me. But to start everything off, like I said, most of these movies kick off a franchise, and y'all gonna judge me for it. But for number 10, I have to go with the first Transformers back in 2007. I think we can all agree that this first Transformers movie with Shia LaBeouf specifically kicked things off. Ever since Even Stevens, he's been one of my favorite actors of all time, because you can see through his comedy that his acting is raw and he's real, and he has the ability to be vulnerable with the comedy, but also vulnerable with the drama and some of the action. He's not like a crazy action character in Transformers, right? He's running around like a madman, but he's just a teenager. So but besides Shia LaBeouf, it's the great visual effects that was extremely innovative at the time. I think we can all agree and put respect to that. Those visual effects for the live action Transformers, if you want to call it live action, and Megan Fox. But we don't have to go into Megan Fox, but I had to give her a shout out, because if you know, you already know. Now, if you know about my number 9, listen, don't hate on me for this, but I'm going for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first movie. Everyone loves the third movie. Some people love that fifth movie with that crazy bitch. That's the one with the crazy bitch, right? The Order of the Phoenix. I hate that one. But Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, 1, it's like a great Christmas movie, but 2, it kicked off this whole movie franchise with a perfect cast. And although looking back on this movie, yeah, like some of the visuals look kind of wacky, but just the charismatic cast and the amazing score by John Williams, that has to be one of the top 10 best musical scores of all time. It just makes you think of Christmas, it makes you think of Harry Potter, and it makes you think of just magical wonder. It's just all around a great movie, in my opinion. That's in 2001, and I think that's definitely my favorite Harry Potter movie, and also just one of my favorite movies ever since back then. Because just to give clarity, I was born 91, right? So millennial. But most of these movies, yes, they're 90s, early 2000s. And this next one, number 8, around the same time, guys, but I got and it's also controversial, just like Harry Potter, but this is my favorite, and I'm going with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Reason being, because I think this is, like I said, I was born 91, so I was like the kid at that time watching this movie. And the reason why this is my favorite compared to the original trilogy, because I feel that original trilogy was just not my time. It was in the late 70s, right, early 80s. And me watching it back then as a kid, the original trilogy, I could see like the outdatedness, I guess. Although story-wise, those are great stories, and they're also all great movies. Absolutely, they're just not my personal favorite. Whereas this one really kickstarted everything from the great cast to the young Anakin Skywalker, who was my age, right? So you can see why I have like a personal attachment and nostalgia for that first episode 1. As for the Disney trilogy, I really liked Force Awakens. But yeah, I'm with the majority, where I did not like The Last Jedi and the Return of Skywalker, whatever the hell it was. That I really was disappointed in the storyline they couldn't get right. Like, it was just so unorganized, and it was a huge letdown, and I kind of lost faith in them, although some of the TV spin-offs were really good. Number 7, this is my personal favorite, and I think a lot of people's personal favorites from the 90s, but I'm going for number 7, the first Mortal Kombat movie. This first Mortal Kombat movie, it's similar to the Harry Potter one, where I just love the soundtrack. I love the music in the background. I love the sequences of the fighting. I pretty much, like, I love the pacing of the movie, because you have a great cast, but then you have like the beats of the story where they fight. And a fan of the game, this was like a dream come true. And a funny story about this Mortal Kombat movie, the first one, I remember I wanted it on VHS so bad. Back before DVD, there was VHS, the tape. I could not find this tape anywhere in the stores until one day I found it at some random mall, and I was so happy I was able to finally get this movie on VHS. And to this day, this is one of my favorite movies just to put on the background. It's a great ending, great music, and I think great fighting too. It's great fighting choreography. Obviously, there's corny moments, corny lines, but I think this shit is great. Now, number 6 threw me off guard. It's a movie. Well, Mortal Kombat was in 1995, but my number 6 movie came out this year in 2024, and it surprised me. It's an animated movie, and honestly, for my top 10 list, I felt like I needed a Disney movie, like some type of animation movie that really like hit me in the heart, like something like an animated movie that I truly love, one of my favorites. But Disney didn't make the cut. Apparently DreamWorks made the cut. So at number 6, I have The Wild Robot. It just came out a few months ago, guys, and I'm putting it out there. I'm putting this in my top 10 favorite of all time, because this movie is probably one of the few movies that I ever got so emotional throughout the whole movie. Like, there's got to be like 3 to 5 times your boy cried, or almost cried, or back and forth. Even like, I already watched it like 3-4 times. I got it on 4K. I even had my parents watch it, and they enjoyed it too. I think everyone will enjoy this movie once you watch The Wild Robot. It's so slept on right now, it's crazy, but I think it'll be an all-time classic once you really fall in love with these characters and their purpose in the story. Now, those were number 10 through 6, the bottom 5. To be honest with you guys, when I was making this list, obviously when we have our favorite list, it means so much to us, so I would like to think we put in a lot of thought and consideration. The bottom 5 could be interchangeable. I really had a tough time, like, what's my top 10? As for the top 5, best believe, I promise you, maybe the top 4. Probably the top 4. The top 4 are my ultimate favorite, no matter what. I don't ever see me switching it out. But at number 5, it's a comedy. In 2001, I got Rush Hour 2. Reason being I got Rush Hour 2 because, like, as I'm older now and I go on more vacation with my friends, my guy friends, the boys, bro, when you go to these countries, it's like Rush Hour 2 non-stop. The movie references, the scenes, like, it never ends. Like, Rush Hour 2 is such a fun travel guy movie. It never ends, and it's every 5 minutes you're laughing, you're cracking your ass. Oh my god, like, I can't explain how funny this movie is. And I guess the hot take is that I enjoy the second one more than the first one. A lot of people feel the opposite, right? They love the first one more than the second one. But for me, this second one is just so funny with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. One of the best dynamic duos of all time in regards to comedy and action, because, you know, Chris Tucker be getting his fights in. You know, he could hold his own, and we all know Jackie Chan is a legend. But just so many funny references from this movie. Absolutely love it. What size is the waist? Buttercream. I'm not even gonna get into it, but just so many references. I love it. Now, the fourth movie, this will always be like my top 3 or 4 movie of all time. I'm going 1993, It's kind of a drama, but I'm going with A Bronx Tale. A Bronx Tale like changed my life so many times, from my previous relationship to my current family, or at least my dog, I should say. Like, there's so many things from that movie that tied into my personal life, and I'll talk about that in another video probably. But A Bronx Tale just has so many profound messages, and it's I'm Italian also, so I love the Italian aspect of it. I love the mafia aspect of it. Now you're probably like, Chris, why don't you have like The Godfather in your top 10? Me personally, that's such a great drama that it's slow in my opinion. So it's not like a movie I just always want to watch every day or put on in the background. It's slow, but it's great. But A Bronx Tale has its funny moments. It has its music moments. There's so much. I think Robert De Niro directed this. It's like nobody gives this movie credit. It's like so underrated to this day. It's always been underrated, but it might be, if not the best mafia movie of all time. Maybe not the best, but it's up there for sure, because there's so many lessons you could take from this movie, from love to race to relationships, from either like a father and son, boyfriend and girlfriend, a brother to brother. I just love everything about this movie. And I think if you've watched this movie, you can also agree that it's a timeless classic. Now, number 3, all right, just to break down my top 10, one last thing. There's 2 movies on my top 10 that I think are critically acclaimed, and everyone, if you're a movie lover, can agree. So for my top 3 and for my number 3rd spot and my number 2 spot, I should have no haters. None. Don't come at me for these next 2. Everything else, I get it. Talk your shit, do what you gotta do. At number 3, I got Interstellar. Come on, 2014. Listen, it's probably a basic top 5, top 10, but like everyone loves Interstellar. If you haven't watched Interstellar, it's been a decade. How many times we gotta tell you to watch Interstellar? I just watched it again in IMAX for the 10th anniversary. My ass was like up front for the IMAX. Why? Because I'm trying to be there with Coop. Me and Coop, we trying to save the world. I'm with him. We there together. Listen, I could go line for line for this movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. I'm still learning from the movie too. Sure am. But do I get emotional? Hell yeah, because it's just so sad and beautiful. Everyone agrees. Interstellar absolutely must be top 5. Number 2 is another franchise kickoff movie. I'll explain. But at number 2, my favorite movie of all time is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001. This is the first movie that kicked off the trilogy, and this movie was absolutely fantastic in my opinion. I think it's the most perfectly paced movie ever, and it's also the best not character development but character establishment, because by the end of this movie you fall in love with these characters, and in my opinion you need to know what happens with them. It's so emotional towards the end. And in regards to the pacing, I feel like it has its beautiful moments of like there'll be drama, action, humor, and it's like a nice beat pattern where you actually have good action moments during the downtime. Like, you don't need a big epic battle to have great action scenes. And don't get me started on the music. Okay, even with Interstellar, music is such a big thing for me when I'm watching movies, because I feel the music, I get so inspired. And I think it translates into some of my vlogs. Like, something about music, right, gives us a sense of calmness. And this is some of the best music of all time, with some of the best characters of all time. Now, at number 1, my favorite movie of all time. Now, I said favorite. I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, but this is absolutely my favorite movie that no one has ever heard of. Only 2 people I know, 2.5. One of my closest friends and one of my closest cousins. And then I got another cousin who's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I got another cousin who just be talking shit like the rest of everyone else. Listen, this comedy is the best comedy of all time. It's 1995, Phil Hartman and Sinbad, House Guest. This has got to be my favorite movie of all time. Similar to not Rush Hour 2, but similar to my Mortal Kombat story, how I couldn't find the VHS anywhere. This is 95. I couldn't find the tape. And then I found it at some like random like used store, I don't know, like thrift shop. I was so happy when I found the VHS, and then I bought the DVD, and then I bought the shit digitally. Like, this is my favorite movie of all time because I think my favorite genre is comedy, and someone like Sinbad is the most like underrated comedian of all time because he's one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time and on screen. I don't know if you remember, I think it was Disney. He was in that movie First Kid. That's another great movie with Sinbad. But a lot of people don't know about Housegas and how funny Sinbad is in. Like every 5 minutes, he's making a funny joke, a funny face, a funny gesture. And his counterpart, which is Phil Hartman, he's just as funny, but in his own way. It's like pure genius of both their comedy styles coming together, like in every scene, because the story is about them being best friends. I don't even want to spoil the story, but pretty much like they're coming together. They used to be best friends, and then they come together. They don't really know each other, but then there's this whole plot twist. So they're getting to like become friends all over again, or for the first time, I should say. But then on top of that, you have all these great side characters from Phil Hartman's family. And then there's this whole mafia side to the story. It's a crazy story. Not that crazy, but like it is a fun, good story in my opinion. And one of the funniest movies of all time. So listen, like you could give me any of your critically acclaimed movies, I'm gonna throw it out the window because it's Houseguest over everyone and everybody. Like if you've watched Houseguest, let me know if you find this movie hilarious. Most likely you like my cousin, most likely you like my half cousin who's a hater. It's not for everyone. I get it. It's really not for everyone. You don't know about speed golf. You can't even compete. If you knew about speed golf, you wouldn't be hating like that. Like there's so many funny parts in this movie. I love it. I love all the side characters. I could go on and on and on. But just please, if you haven't watched Houseguest, you probably can't even watch Houseguest because even the streaming services are hating on it. I don't know what the fuck it is. I got it. Listen, I low-key want to dedicate a whole channel or even like a community, like a local community of Houseguest fans, hardcore Houseguest fans. Like we need to come together and unite. Like I said, right now it's just 3 of us. Me, my cousin, my friend, and my other cousin who's kind of like we're trying to get in part of the group. So I don't really know that many other people that really mess with Houseguest, and I would love to know more. So please, if you rock with Houseguest, let me know. We could start this little local community. Every Thursday we could go bowling. We could figure this shit out. We could go speed golfing. Listen, you don't know about speed golf. Whoo, don't get me started. Oh man. So that's my top 10 favorite movie list of all time. I'm glad I put this together because I do think it was fun, and it took me a while to really think about these. Yeah, it's basic. I got so many basic popular franchises, but like I'm just thinking of what are my favorites. What do I enjoy? Not a movie that I have to like really focus in on, or a dramatic story that really makes me cry or makes me feel something. I just want something that makes me feel good, makes me reminisce. And all these movies absolutely do that. So let me know maybe your top 5 down below or top 10. I would love to know. If you're hating on this list, don't hate too much. I mean, you could hate 10 through 2, but don't hate on Houseguest. Whatever you do, because don't hate on Houseguest. So for all my Houseguest fans out there, you're not alone. Call the hotline. We're in this together. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone. Subscribe, and thank you again. I love you. See, Houseguest got me in a good mood. Now I'm just really expressing my love language. I'm gonna chill and I'm gonna go. So I love Sinbad. R.I.P. Phil Hartman. I love y'all. Take care. God bless.